Back on SportsBit, betting insight today. Pauly and Teddy. Follow us on Twitter at Pauly Howard, at Teddy_covers. One game tonight in the association. Let's get to the Rockets and the Spurs. Game 5. Rockets and the Spurs, rather, at home 5.5. 214.5 the total. Look at the 4 games here. Game 1, Rockets blew them out. Game 2, Spurs answered. Game 3, Spurs 103-92. That was a tight game in the second half till the Spurs blew it open. And then the Rockets 125-104 with the win in Game 4, series tied at 2. Now, tough handicapping conundrum here. Number 1, it's hard for the bookmakers because usually when you see a series 2-2, you would assume it's like Washington and Boston, right, where the home team's 4-0. Well, here, 4 blowouts, but Houston won at San Antonio and San Antonio won at Houston. And also, as you've seen with the games, the team that jumps out early has been able to dictate pace, Teddy. It's fascinating.
That's just it. I mean, pace has been the key to this series. Whoever's got the early pace has won each of the 4 games. When the Rockets were able to jump out, they keep up the pressure. The Spurs couldn't counter. When the Spurs have been able to get out, they've been slowing it to a grinder, and Houston has gotten frustrated. So, yeah, it is kind of a conundrum for the betting markets and for handicappers because we're talking about a series that's been mostly blowouts that, in theory, is the most one of the 2 competitive series left. The question that I want to ask you, Paul, and I want to ask in general is, at this stage of the postseason, and when you talk about these series, Games 5 and Game 6 stand out, both short-term and long-term, as the games where the home floor tends to mean the least. All right? Home team's only 2-2 straight up in this series. Now, the Spurs are favored in this game at home by as much without Tony Parker as they were with him earlier in the series, in a situation where the value of the home court, again, in my opinion, declines as the series progressed. I'm surprised this line is held at 5.5, and I would expect to see some Houston money. I think this line goes down to 5. If you like the Rockets, I bet them sooner rather than later.
Yeah, the line surprised me too. I had opened up 6 in this one. And you see how dangerous that Rockets team is when the threes. Now, it's funny. It's funny and frustrating because I have a future ticket on them. Is when they lose, or so far in this series, everyone's been bad. And when they win, everyone's knocking down threes, and it's bombs away, and they're on the same page. You can't get something in the middle. And how about this? Game 3, Harden, 43 points on 28 shots. That was the bad James Harden because he didn't get anyone else involved. He played like Westbrook. 5 assists, 5 turnovers, and the Rockets were minus 14 in 40 minutes with him on the court. Game 4, that's the Harden we like. Sharing the ball, getting others involved, and they were knocking down threes off his passes. 28 points on 18 shots, 12 assists, only 4 turnovers, plus 28 in the 34 minutes with him on the floor. And I love how they got to get San Antonio in switches because every time Aldridge winds up on Harden, Harden has to take him to the rack. It's like stealing in Game 3 when he had that mismatch. He was settling for jumpers too much.
Sure, well, look at the numbers. 28 shot attempts, 5 assists, 5 turnovers in Game 3. 18 shot attempts, 12 assists, only 4 turnovers in Game 4. No surprise, the Rockets were much better. Harden has to be a facilitator for his teammates as much as anything else that he does. You really look at his quote. I just tried to play with pace in Game 4. Once we got stops, just be aggressive, whether it's move to the basket or make an open pass. My body movement was key, just push the ball. But the whole purpose was to get stops. And then, of course, you look at the other end of the equation. Here's the quote from Coach Popovich. Quote, I think our defense was pretty defective. Patty Mills, quote, they made a few adjustments that we just couldn't adjust with them on the fly. It ended up leaving us soft and exposed, our individual defense, which they took the chances and drove on us. And that's what Houston did. When Houston is the aggressor, when they're able to drive to the hole, these are areas that the San Antonio legitimately misses Tony Parker's tactical experience, and it does give the Rockets an edge when they're the aggressor. But big loss for Houston moving forward, Pauly. Really, you can't underestimate.
Nene done for the rest of the playoffs. He was a wild card in that defense. Throw this graphic up. Houston points per 100 possessions defense in the playoffs. Nene, 161 minutes, 97.4. You see the other Rockets there as well. Popovich, quote, in the OKC series, people who are just fans and not really basketball buffs might not notice him as much as someone else. His aggressiveness, his scoring, his defense, and just his activity were really important in that series, end quote. Not to mention he had the 12 for 12 shooting game as well. Now we'll see what D'Antoni decides to do. Will it be Anderson more at the 5, backup Capella, and also what D'Antoni did late in the Game 4 win was the 3-guard lineup, and you saw Gordon got hot too, and Lou Williams, will he toy with the 3-guard lineup and maybe more Ryan Anderson at the 5?
It wouldn't surprise me if he did, and Houston, without Nene, maybe playing some of their best basketball in small ball. Worth noting, let's flash that graphic one more time real quick right here. You see how Nene's at the top. Look at the guys at the bottom for the Rockets in points per 100 in terms of defense in the playoffs. Well, there's the other center, Clint Capella, he's at the bottom, and Ryan Anderson, who's going to play some 5 in this game without Nene, also near the bottom. So not only is it the loss of their best postseason defender, the guys who are going to be on the floor when he's not are not going to play anywhere near that level of defense. And Harrell likely to get some minutes for Houston as well, but this is a guy who's only played 18 minutes in the postseason, has not yet been anything resembling a factor.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.